He had jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. He was a paratrooper in World War II, a veteran decorated with a Silver Star for his bravery. But now, at 89 years old, he was being thrown off his first-class seat and asked to move to the back of the plane. All because some lowlife didn't want to give up their premium economy seat. His grandson, a young lieutenant, couldn't believe his ears when he got the call. But his grandpa wasn't someone who was going to take this lying down. The old man had seen tougher days during the war. There were battles he'd fought in that were much more terrifying than this. But while his grandpa was ready to stand his ground, the lieutenant knew that this wouldn't end well for him. His grandpa was old. Even if he did manage to make it to the back of the plane, it would be very difficult for him to get back up again, and there was no way that any flight attendant was going to help him with his bags. He was too proud for that. That's why the lieutenant decided to make one single phone call. But he didn't call the airline. Instead, he called his uncle, a general in the army. At first, his uncle thought it was a joke, but then he heard the desperation in his nephew's voice, and he picked up the call. Before the lieutenant could even explain the situation, the general already knew what had happened. He had heard stories about this lowlife who had been causing trouble on board their flights. The general immediately got to work, calling everyone he knew at the airline company until finally someone important got on the phone. Meanwhile, the old man was still standing in the aisle, arguing with the flight attendant who told him that he had to leave. But just before he made it to the back of the plane, something incredible happened. The flight attendant that had been arguing with him suddenly got down on her knees and started begging for forgiveness. The rest of the flight attendants soon joined her, and they all bowed down to the old man, asking him to come back to his original seat. Not only that, but they offered him free drinks and food. It was obvious that they had been instructed to do this over the phone, but everyone on the plane was wondering who had called the airline and why. They had heard rumors of a general getting involved, but they didn't know the details. As the old man sat back down in his chair, everyone applauded. Soon enough, the whole truth came out. People were shocked when they learned that the veteran had been mistreated. No one could believe that someone would be so rude to a war hero. As the news spread, more and more people began calling the airline to complain. They demanded to know why a veteran had been kicked off his flight and refused to buy tickets until the company responded. And that's when the CEO of the airline company made a public statement. He apologized to the veteran and announced that he would personally pay for the old man to fly with them again. But that wasn't all. He also fired the employees who had mistreated him and donated thousands of dollars to veterans' charities. The CEO had made a huge mistake that cost him a lot of money, but most of all, it cost him his dignity. Because of his actions, the whole country began to turn against him. The veteran was a national hero, and the airline company had treated him poorly. So when other companies tried to help out the veteran, they were rejected. The old man didn't need their money. What he really wanted was for people to remember his sacrifice and the sacrifice of all the other veterans. In the end, the story had a happy ending. The veteran got to finish his vacation in peace, and the country got a reminder about the importance of honoring those who have served. The moral of the story is that true respect isn't given because of fame or wealth, but because of the quiet sacrifices made by those who served. So let this be a reminder to us all that our veterans deserve our respect and gratitude. Let's make sure that we never forget their service and sacrifice. Thank you.